Welcome back to another Straight to the Point podcast. It's your girl Chelsea. We got Vince over here, and today we are interviewing Castro.
What's up? What's up? How y'all doing?
Go ahead and talk to the people. Tell them a little bit about yourself, Cass.
Oh yeah, thank you, man, for the opportunity. Straight to the Point podcast. You know, I see y'all working hard in the Ville and putting on for the city, so I wanted to come through,
right,
and talk to the people and just let them know what's up. You know.
All right. So, I'll jump in it too.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about who Castro is.
Okay, so Castro, I got that name from my guys back in high school. So
okay.
So Castro, I used to play basketball. We had a little crew called Max Def.
Yeah.
And that was probably like 2009, 10, something like that. So I was producing music for my crew in high school, and we started a music group right here in Cartersville, and from that point, Castro was born, the producer for the group Max Def, and it just kind of stuck with me.
Who all was in the group with you?
So it was me, my boy Oppo, Blake, and then we had Ian Red. We really had we had three rappers, but we had it was probably like 25 people as a collective that was a part of that. And then it was more people that, we had I think it was one of the first movements that was out here.
And it was crazy.
You remember that?
Yo,
okay.
Yo, everybody was screaming Max Def. Yo, every time you seen a picture on MySpace, Facebook, every time you seen a picture, it was somebody throwing up Max Def every time.
Yeah,
this
it was
crazy.
lit. The city got behind it. It's cool.
I mean, it was a lot of big names in that group too, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People
for the area.
for our area.
Definitely.
It was crazy.
I liked it because it was it gave us an identity. I think, we were one of the first group. I mean, there's probably people before me, but I didn't, that I didn't know about. But we put together a movement. We had like a logo. We had a hand sign. We had fans. We had everything. So it was that was my first perspective of okay, I can organize stuff, and I know how to organize people and let people be a part of something bigger than just an individual.
Right.
So that was the first stages of that, which is why Castro, if you know who Fidel Castro was,
right?
No communist or nothing, but
yeah,
kind of the same thing.
So what got you into the music side? What made you feel okay, I like this music thing. I think I can do something with this. What made you get into that?
Well, honestly, ironically, my father, he got me into music. It's Father's Day. Shouts out to my father, man. Happy Father's Day to you.
Yeah.
But my father, his name G. He from Rockmart. So and at the time, I was about 15 when I first kind of really got into actually producing music. Now, my granddaddy Doug, he from the Hill. He been playing me the old school. You know what I'm saying? He been riding me around in the Cadillacs, listening to that music. So it was already kind of into me. But when I started producing music, I was about 15, 14 years old, and my dad, he had this trap house, right? Straight up, that's what it was. So he had built this little area, for me to kind of do my thing, and he had a computer. He had bought a little. I think somebody might have brought him that equipment,
right?
For something else. So I ain't got it, but you know what I'm saying. He had this little computer, and he had a speaker, and it was he was yo man, I got this little beat program, man. He was making a beat. So I was let me see what that is. I just instantly fell in love with it. I was
that's crazy.
Oh, that's crazy. Because I didn't know how. I listened to music and I loved it, but I didn't know you could make it. At the time, I didn't even know. I was just wow. You know what I'm saying? I knew people were making it, but I was just I can do this.
Yeah.
So, I started with that. About 14.
Wow, yo. Yep. To be able to have that kind of ability at 15 and 16 is crazy.
Yeah.
Producing is hard, man.
It is. It really is.
Producing is hard.
Well, now it's gotten a lot easier than it was even then. So it was back then we had to I had, it was a computer era, but at the same time, it wasn't you could just get a sample and just take somebody's whole, from what I was doing, I was making all the sounds, all the drums from scratch, you know what I'm saying? So it was really cool, man. And then, from there, I just never stopped doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So what was it like growing up in Cartersville?
Well, for me, I'm from Kingston originally. So shouts out to the K-Town.
Yeah.
But, I grew up in Kingston, but I was going to school at the city of Cartersville. So even from primary, I ended up going to Cartersville Primary School. And you know, for me, I come from a humble background. You know what I mean? Like, my family always like made the most of what we had, and my mom went hard, you know, to make sure that we had what we needed to have. But it wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, when I was like, I moved to Cartersville when I was like 6. And I had an incident where my house burned down. So I lived in Kingston, then my house burned down, and I ended up moving from Kingston to my auntie house for like 2 months. And then from there, we got a project on Puckett Street, Stonewall Street. So when we had that project, it was like we had a house, you know what I'm saying? So we was like, oh, we back. We didn't care if it was in the hood. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of people, you know, I know about that Stonewall there, Puckett Street. Shouts out to all them still over there. But yeah, man, so that was when I got to Cartersville, and from there, my mama, through the grace of her hustle and just her grind and her perseverance, you know, she basically went from there to getting a house to like always like getting another house, and she always just kept hustling, just kept working. So that was my background. But shouts out to my mama.
Right.
For sure.
It's funny because I never even knew you had sisters or whatever. And that day I met your sister up here. And I was talking to Baby. I was like, yeah, I guess it's Castro's sister because she was with Castro. She was asking about you, and Baby was like, Castro's sister.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that was.
And then I had to explain her to him, and he was like, "Oh, that's my homie. I never knew Castro."
Yeah, I got a lot of siblings. Actually, you know, my father and my mother. My mother had 4 kids herself, and then I was the only son, and I was the oldest out of all of her kids and all of the kids on her side of the family. So I'm the first grandchild too. So it's like I got a lot of little cousins, a lot of little sisters and brothers. Shouts out to all my sisters and brothers, you know, and my little cousins. You know, I try to support and try to just do what I can to show them that it's a way, you know, to do stuff. You know,
that's crazy, man.
But I got a lot of siblings.
Cause your sister do music too now, don't she?
You say what?
She do music too now.
Yeah. Shouts out to my sister Max. You know, everybody know about Kiki. She go by Max. But she moved to LA.
She just followed me on Instagram, and I was like, "Who is this?" And then I saw that you was friends with her, and I was like, and then I saw like the connection. I was like, "Oh, this Castro's sister."
Yeah, definitely. Y'all got to get her up here when she get back in town, because she going on another journey. She actually moved to LA, like no strings attached, and just like left and just wanted to pursue her career. And she been out there over 6 months doing her thing. So
that's crazy.
You know, that's a whole nother level.
That's a whole nother commitment.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
just up and go.
And that made me go harder, because it's like, if I gotta go hard, I can't. I got so many people going hard that I just can't. For everybody out there, man, I just want to say this: like, go hard, bro. Please go hard. Wake up and go hard. Wash your face, brush your teeth, hop in the shower, and go hard. Period. Say your prayers and go hard, because there's people out here that came before us that really worked for us to have the opportunity to do whatever we want to do. And the time is now, you know, so whatever you want to do, put your mind to it. You can do it. Just put your grind to it with it, you know. But that's crazy that you mentioned my sister, because she took it to another level.
I seen when she went to LA. I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
So salute to my sister.
That's dope.
So you worked with the group Max Def before. Didn't you work with K Major at one point?
Yeah, I did. I did. I still have a relationship. Shout out to K Major. That's my brother for life. He was actually we actually had a class together in 8th grade at Cartersville Middle School. And it was a ironically English class. So we did English together. And we kind of started doing music because we sat right beside each other. So it was like, okay, this is my boy. I'm going to get to know him. We got to know each other. We already played basketball and stuff together. So I didn't really deal with him after that. I moved to another school. Like, I went to Cass, and that's when all that came about. But I met him before I left. And then I go to the Art Institute of Atlanta to study audio production. And we had a class together. So it was like coming back full circle, and then it was just like, dang, man, you know, you from Cartersville, I'm from Cartersville, let's link up. So we started hanging out after class. He had a studio. He stayed with his brother at the time, and he had a studio.
Shout out
Kenny B. And Kenny B, you know, let me come over there all the time and work and just kind of hang out with them. And he was already managing K. So he had this infrastructure on how to kind of operate. And for me at the time, I didn't know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand the behind the scenes of like the music industry. And for me being in college and then having the opportunity to see it happening.
Yeah.
You know, I can only understand like, okay, I understand how it works a little bit better because I'm getting my friend, he actually doing it.
Yep.
And you know, I'm getting to watch how his brother's maneuvering, and that helped me out a lot too. So shouts out to them.
Yeah.
You know, for sure.
Hell yeah, that's dope. So when did the DJing start taking off? What happened? Yeah, what happened to make that DJing take off? Cause we done seen you. And you with the big boys.
Yeah. So this is crazy. So like I said, K, he always hit me up like when I be trying to come to the city because at the time I had been going back and forth between like I was working with K, and then we had like our thing going on, but then I had Max Def back in the Ville.
Right.
So I was like, I had a conversation with him and his brother. I was just like, yo, you know, I support everything y'all doing, you know, and I'm with y'all. Like I was producing at one time. I was even like performing with him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just trying to figure out my place in the game. You know what I mean? So I was doing whatever I needed to do to be a part of something that had to do with my dream. So it was like, it was cool for me. But at the same time, I knew in the back of my mind that I had already built the infrastructure for myself.
Yep.
But I didn't know how to kind of take it to the next level. But I knew I needed to be like a part of what I had started. So I told him like, you know, hey, I'm gonna go back to the Ville and try to you know get my team together. And you know, from that point when I came back, of course it ain't never how you envision it. So I ended up getting caught back up into like the early stages of things, you know what I mean, which I think happened for a reason though. So I felt comfortable with everything that I went through because I knew I did it for the right reasons, and I knew I did it out of pure intention, you know what I mean? So at that point, kind of being it back around, you know, I ended up was kind of back to the old ways, you know. I'm like, okay, how can I put this together? Because we had us, and we kind of at that point representing like the older crowd. So we had like my age group, and then we had the youngsters coming up doing their thing, like my little cousins, Lil Plu, and his crew, you know. So I was just like, well, you know what? And then we had other people on this side. So I was like, man, I'm trying to calculate how I can put all of us together. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about for me. So I started thinking, and I just started like meditating on it and putting my mind around it. And I was like, what can we do, you know? So then I end up coming up with my boy Plu. One night we was talking, I was like, we just was always talking about it. And then I was like, yeah, we need to do like a tribe. Like the name just came, and it was like Live Tribe, you know, and that was the birth of that. It's like my life. I'm thinking about it now because I ain't never really talked about this, but I can see the waves of how things happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so then we came up with the tribe, and it was like everybody in the whole city got behind it again. It was crazy. You know, we had the youngsters. We was doing shows in the A. We was pulling up 100 deep at least everywhere we went. And they didn't know who we were. They was just like, wow, you know. So the momentum was real, and I found a way to like instill inspiration in them because at that point I wasn't even rapping. I wasn't even producing a lot of it. But I was just kind of there to kind of just be like, okay, this is what I do know about this and that. Or if people had questions for me, you know, I try to do my best to try to answer them, you know. So that was another wave that I wanted to slide in there between the DJing and me, like, you know, me linking up with K. And it's just like ironic because I didn't even DJ. At this point, all the way up to this, I wasn't even a DJ at all. So I didn't even know about the DJ world. I didn't know what the DJs, you know, really did. But I see them in the club because like I was always the one when we did the shows and stuff like that. I was always the one like going to holler at the DJ, hey, play our music, like whatever you need a dub, whatever we doing. I wasn't trying to do it on no, we got money, you know what I'm saying, play our music. I was on some, like, where you from, like, what you do, what's your name, who are you, you know, and I really cared about what people did, and I cared about people. And that's the same energy that took me from everything that I was doing, you know, now that I look at it. So it was like, okay, you know, I learned a little bit about, like, managing and stuff like that in the industry, and then, you know, I wanted to move in a new direction again. And I just was like, I want to represent something positive. You know, I want to do something impactful with this movement that we have. And, you know, being older, I think my perspective was different than the younger cats. You know what I mean? Because they still had their way of doing things. And I can't necessarily say that was wrong. You know, because they doing what they know, and they that's just where we come from. So it's like, at the end of the day, you know, I made a decision to, like, once I felt like, okay, I'm saying something, but I don't know if they really still hear me. I think we all go through phases, you know, and you got to make the best decision for what you feel like, because it's your life ultimately. And I came on a journey way before this.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to keep on that journey. So I ended up moving. I ended up having a session that Kay invited me to. He was like, "Yo, I'm about to go link up with Dallas Austin. You know what I'm saying? And do some music with him. You want to come through?" So I was like, "Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, why not?" So I ended up going with him, and he was always bringing me around. You know, we was friends first, but he'd always bring me around and like let me get a perspective of how things were for him. So it was inspirational for me. You know what I mean? So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's make some music." You know, at the time, I'm trying to get my beats on.
Right. I'm
trying to put my sound down. So we did that, and it went out well. We did like a record with Dallas called Mansion. And it was like one of the first records I produced with them. And you know, that record came into like more beats we made that day. We did like maybe like 4 or 5 beats in the song. So it was cool, man. And I've developed a relationship with Dallas the same way. And you know, he was cool. He was very, very inspirational. I didn't even know who he was up until that point, to be honest. I was sitting in his living room because I remember we pulled up. And he got this huge space mansion. Like, it looked like a spaceship, you know what I'm saying? So I was just blown away. Like, I ain't never seen nothing like this. I'm from Cartersville, you know? So I'm like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? So I was just blown away. And then we go in the crib. He got like a house dude. Like, he coming, like, this where you leave your shoes at. Would y'all like any water? The whole 9 yards. So I'm just like, I'm just trying to figure out what's happening. So I'm kind of like, you know, I wasn't obviously acting like no groupie or nothing like that. But I was exposed to some new stuff. And I think the exposure is the most important thing, you know what I mean? Because if I didn't have that one opportunity, you know, I went in and, you know, I remember sitting in the living room, it's big, it's just crazy crib. And I'm just Googling Dallas Austin. So I'm like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? And that's how it works. And that's how I learned. That's how people find out. And that's how you build your brand. You know? So, you know, I'm doing all the Googles, and then like we sitting in the living room for like, I ain't gonna kid you, like 30, 45 minutes before he even come up. So we just in there soaking it in. So I'm just like, man, like, so I'm reading his whole Wikipedia, and he got like discographies of hits. Like everybody else discography on Wikipedia, it'll be like, you know, the albums, you know, his is in ABC order because he got so many records. So I'm like, I didn't even know. And like, he like a silent giant. So I'm just like,
that's a lot of stuff.
It was crazy. Like Madonna, you know what I'm saying? You got TLC, he made Creep by TLC, Boyz II Men, the list goes on. But it was really cool. You know, we made a record, and ironically, he's releasing that record this year.
Oh, that's dope.
On the album that he's putting out. So he relaunched his label, and you know, and that same thing's gonna come back full circle. And that's just how it kind of works. But so from there, you know, after the session, I came back to the Ville, and I was just like, yo, man, listen, there's a lot more going on than we know about out here. It's out here. This is real. Like, I'm super pumped up. Like, I'm like trying to inspire everybody. And I'm just fired up. So I'm just like, you know, everybody like, yeah, you know, that's what's up. You know,
but they haven't experienced it, so it's not hitting them the way it hit you.
Right.
They just like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. But once they hit in that area, they're like, oh shit, I see what you're talking about.
And then I couldn't. And then that's when I realized, like, you can't explain everything to people. You have to kind of just do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I'm telling y'all, like, it's more out here. I just did this session, They're like, yeah, you know, we doing sessions too, you know? And I'm like,
you ain't doing the kind of session.
And I ain't even trying to be, I ain't that type of person, so I ain't gonna be like, you know, well, I'm doing this. It was just like, okay, you know, that's what's up. And I respect everybody hustle, so do your thing. So, but, you know, it just showed me that you know, that wasn't where I needed to be anymore. I had to get out of Cartersville. I had to make a change. And I had to try to move forward, you know what I mean? And that's what I did. I ended up being there, and then like maybe like 3 or 4 months later, his son, Dallas's son, hit me up about doing some music. He's like, yo, man, you should come by the crib and let's make some music, you know? And I was like, okay, bet, you know, we can. So I ended up pulling up. And at this time, it was kind of like, I was chasing my dream in between that time, but I wasn't really getting any progression. You know what I mean? I didn't feel myself making the strides to actually get closer to my dream. I was making the strides, but I wasn't getting no traction. You know what I mean? And I wasn't finna call people and be like, yo, let's do this. Let's go back to the studio, da-da-da-da. Because I knew, you know, I had a relationship with Kay, but I was trying to let him do his thing. You know what I mean? And that was important for me, too. So I always been my own man. I always been the type of person that you know, walk to my own beat. So I tried to find my own way. You know, he hit me up one day. At the time, I had just started a job with Verizon. Right. And I worked at AT&T before that. So I had a little experience. I was like, man, look, they told me, they was like, look, we got 30 people interviewing for this one position. You know what I mean? And like, we only gonna pick one person. So I was like, well, look, I'm gonna apply for one more job. I was really over it. I was like, I ain't trying to work. Like, I quit my last job. I was just like, that ain't where I'm trying to take myself. You know what I'm saying? Because not because of what I seen, but just because I knew that it was a mental construct that was over me. You know what I mean? That I wasn't comfortable with. You know what I mean? And watching my granddaddy grow up, having a restaurant right here on Summer Hill, always doing different jobs and always working for himself and just making his own money. You know, I was brought up like that. So even though I knew I could work any job and get a job, I wasn't really focused on working for someone else. You know, so I went away from that, and they picked me for that job at Verizon. So I was like, well, I mean, I said I was gonna do it, so I didn't want to do it, but I knew it was an opportunity, you know, that I could take advantage of at the time. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. So I ended up starting, and then I got that call. Yeah. So I ended up going down there. We did a song we did a record like one day of production. We made like 6 beats that first day. So Dallas was like, yo, man, who you affiliated with? Like, what you been up to? I was like, man, I'm just working. And I didn't tell him. I was just like, man, I'm just out here trying to get it, you know, still on my grind, you know? And he was like, okay, man, we're going to see if we can figure something out, man, try to put something together. So I was like, cool. So I guess he liked the music, you know, at that point, you know what I mean? So, but even still, it wasn't like, okay, bet, you own, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, that was just something that we briefly discussed, and then he went on about his day, I did too. And, you know, it was crazy because at that point, I just started developing a relationship with his son just because I already knew him, and then we got to know each other. We still best friends to this day as well. So I think when you move a certain way, people gonna understand it. You know what I mean? And when you got genuine intentions and you just really doing it for the right reasons, they gonna know it. People will feel it.
They gonna know it every time.
Yep. So at that point, I'm going on about it, but
no.
We this is to tell your story.
Right. So at that point, you know, I'm working with his son, and then I got this situation where it was crazy. I don't want to get into too many details, but there was a situation that transpired, you know, where like we were looking for his son. You know, we thought he was missing. He actually had a car accident. Damn. So he had a car accident, and he was in the hospital. So they put a release report out and everything, and like was looking for him. So we ended up finding that out, and at that point in time, you know, I had to go to work. Yeah. But I was like, well, you know what I'm saying? You know, I got to make a decision because I can't really leave the situation I'm in. I'm needed. So I ended up just saying, I can't make it. You know, I'm in a situation. And they was like, well, you only been here a certain amount of time. Yeah, I'll let you know. We can't, you know. Right. So at that point, I kind of basically just left the workforce. And it just from there, I was like, yo, you know, they was like, yo, you know, appreciate you being here and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, look, whatever y'all need, you know what I'm saying, as far as this music stuff, I'm not working there no more. That's really the reason I was there. And they was like, oh, yeah, nah, just come up here with us. You know, he basically was like, yeah, y'all just come up here with us. So I was like, cool. And from there, I've been working with Dallas. I started off being his DJ assistant. So he was like, you know, I got gigs, I DJ, you know. He owned, you know what I'm saying? So it's basically like he already got work going on. So he was like, yeah, man, just come help me out with the DJ stuff. And I was like, cool. So I was just watching him practicing DJing, and I was just watching him. And then he was like, you know, I set his stuff up, and then I break it down at the end of the night. Yep. I was making pretty good money to do that, you know. So I was like, hey, I'm learning something. And at the time, I didn't look at it like, this is another thing. People look at stuff that they do as like, I'm a boss. I wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? But they don't realize that it's a process. You gotta put work in to get certain places, and you gotta know that. Mm-hmm. And I think people want to start off at the top. Is why a lot of people ain't getting ahead.
Yeah, especially in that industry.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of people it's people that's been on for 20, 30 years. You know what I'm saying? That's just like you gotta prove that you really want it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people want to come out and think they already own, and that's why a lot of people you can't do nothing for. I can't give you no information. If you don't want to understand that you got to pass out flyers, you have to hand stuff out, you have to work. So that's important. And I took it with a smile on my face, and I'm ready to work any day I need to, because guess what? I learned how to DJ.
Yep.
I learned how to negotiate. I get crazy connections from just being there. Yep. And I started DJing. That's how I started DJing.
That is fucking crazy.
So I was just, I used to practice and I ain't even been DJing 3 years. A friend of mine named Dylan Bird, I want to mention. He used to actually was the first one that really introduced me to DJing though, because he was DJing. Yeah. And he'd be like, yo, man, let me show you how to work this board. He was actually the first person, now that I think about it, to show me that. Mm-hmm. And then he would actually let me come with him and like assist him with his gigs and just show me how to flow if it went. So I kind of forgot about that information, even though I knew. And then we did a Love Travels event with Scotland and all of them. Shouts out to Jasmine, Keefy, Scotland, everybody, the Yasmin. So they did that, and I was like, yeah, well, I can DJ. I know how to do this. You know what I'm saying? Because my boy had showed me, and I did that here. And then that's actually how I got that position, because I was like, well, I actually do know something about like DJing and how to break this stuff down. So Dylan Bird, he's a teacher at Cartersville Middle, is another person I couldn't have did it without. You know what I mean? So
my daughter comes home from school every day. Mr. Bird and Mr. Bird and Mr. Bird, and I'm like, who in the hell is Mr. Bird? Mr. Bird was dancing today. He was doing the wall. He was doing everything.
He a real.
That's dope.
He a great dude. You know what I'm saying? He's a great person, and he just did it out of love. Like he just always showed me love. Like, and that's why I show love, because everybody that I've dealt with. You learn, like, even dealing with, like, a lot of the people that I work with now, I realize this, like, it's about relationships. It ain't about how much money you got. Yep. Like, it ain't about that. You know what I mean? But when you do stuff, people have to be aware. It has to be, like, a dual thing. Like, you both have to know, I'm doing this for you out of love. Right. I may need you one day.
Exactly.
And that's it ain't like you asking or you doing nothing like that. It's unspoken, but it's like, it's a code that you got to just understand about putting in work and being there and trying to do the best you can, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I started DJing, and from there, literally like DJing, being his assistant, like just assisting with DJing. Yep. I met a lot of people. I could just go on and on, you know what I'm saying? I remember the first like big thing that we did. We had been doing little venues. He get gigs here and there. We do that. So I was always like, yo, when the next party? He was like, in 2 weeks, So I was super excited to do it. And it was good for me because I found a new passion. Yeah. So I was just happy to just be doing something like that I love doing. So I was like, well, this is music. I was a great DJ because I knew I was making songs. So I knew what songs to play. And I was just like, wow, this is like full circle. So he was like, okay, we got the Super Bowl coming up. Mm-hmm. And this is in 2019 when they had the Super Bowl in Atlanta. And he was like, yo, this is going to be... And I had been working with him for a few months, probably like 4 to 6 months before that. And he was like, yo, this is the real deal, So I remember, and then it helped my memory because now I remember, how much we did. So we had to do 12 parties in 5 days. Damn. So we did Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Super Bowl Sunday. But we had 12 parties to do.
12 in all, yeah.
So it started off, we did a party with AMC. The movie, like the head people there, and they did a Walking Dead premiere at his house, at Dallas's house. So we played and we set up music for that. And every night after that night, we went to a party, and then we were doing like 2 parties a day, 3 parties a day sometimes. We did a Moet party, like the head of Moet, Sean Don flew to Atlanta and did a Super Bowl brunch at Dallas's house. Like I did a Sports Illustrated party, I did a Victoria's Secret party, I did at the college football Hall of Fame. I think it's right on Marietta Street. We did a party with them. I did a Sports Illustrated party with Lil Wayne and Snoop Dogg. And it was just like it was like a big surge of energy that I had never experienced. And that was just, and then you talking about staying up. I remember, I'm gonna throw this little side note in there. Like the first night I'm practicing, I'm setting up the stuff for the AMC thing, and we had to do like a Victoria's Secret party. And a guy named Matt that I know, he's in charge of he do like promotions and like hire models to come do like events and sponsorships and stuff. So I was just in there playing, and at this time I was just getting a little taste of it. I was there, but I didn't know, man, he called 16 to 20 Sports Illustrated models. Yeah. Just walked in the studio room, and it ain't really that big, you know. And I'm just playing music, and they all dancing. You know what I'm saying? Like they wasn't naked or nothing. Like it was like we was just chilling, but it was just like crazy. It was a lot of like anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Not because of them, but just because I had never seen nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I was just like blown away. You know what I mean? And then
I was gonna ask you, do you ever get anxiety working at these things?
Well, now I don't as much, but it depends on the situation, because it's like it'll be times where like I went to New York with a friend of mine, and we went to the Songwriters Hall of Fame last year as well in New York. So Dallas was getting inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And if you're a rapper, if you an artist, you don't know this, you're a songwriter. That's what you do. You're a songwriter. So you got songwriters and producers, and this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. Mind you, there's only 3 black dudes in the Hall of Fame. You got Jay-Z who went first, Jermaine Dupri who went second, and then last year was Dallas and Missy Elliott as well. And a lot of countless other very, very talented artists and songwriters, but it was really cool because like I found another level of appreciation for songwriting. Right. I learned about the greats and all the songs we listened to. It's just like, man, you know what I'm saying? This is like really out here. Yeah. And it's real. And like, you know, I'm Justin Timberlake over here, you know, Queen Latifah, like, and I'm at the table, me, Dallas, Jermaine Dupri, like we sitting at the table, my homie Richie Jordan. So it's like, we here. Yeah. And that's when I realized, like, okay, I'm here, bro. This is crazy. You know what I mean? So
crazy experience.
like it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, at that point, it's things like that, you know, that's the reason I came back and I wanted to do the Juneteenth thing. You know, I DJ'd all day. I didn't mind doing it because I do that for where I came from. Right. And that, you know, I want to share, like, even if like the music is really the ultimate universal language. Yeah. So I like to play music for people, and you know, it's just like I just want people to know, and the reason like we doing this is because it's like people need to understand that just because you ain't all flashy, y'all on social media, all trying to be like all that ain't even what it's about for everybody. Right. So, you know, it's people out here who paying attention to everything we doing. So, you know, you just got to be mindful and keep working, but you have to make yourself unique. Yeah. You have to find a niche. You got to do something different. And people, you know, always hear that and they say, oh, I'm different. But they don't realize that if you take it like, it's like perspective. So if I'm looking at it from the ground, I can see a certain level. If I would take a step back and I'm like a bird, I can see another level. If I'm an eagle, I can see more. Right. If I'm a plane, I can see more. If I'm a satellite, you can see that you ain't doing nothing different. You know, and it ain't even about trying to be different. It's about trying to do something that speaks to you. Yeah. And inside of you, the voice can speak to other people. You know what I mean? If I'm talking about my struggle and I know you came from the struggle, it might make sense. Yeah. You know?
That's facts.
I saw that you had you were DJing at a gig for Motor
404. That dude be dripped out. He got the most drip in Atlanta. That dude he got all the drip, bro.
You gotta see Motor. Motor's different. Like I met him at my job at the Capitol Grill. And him and one of the hosts had connected, and they was talking. And I went to a Super Bowl. We went and watched the Super Bowl. Was it a Super? No. It was either a Super Bowl or a fight. I think it was a fight party. We went to a fight party they lived at the condos right next door to the Capitol Grill. Okay. It was either his boy house or his house. I can't remember whose house it was. But we went over there and we all chilled. And he was just kept telling her, he was like, why your girl so quiet? Why your girl so quiet? And I was just sitting there like, because I don't know y'all. I just see y'all come in the restaurant, but I was just like,
Nah, Motor's dope, man.
He's real cool, though.
He's like he has a fashion boutique called Motor 404 in Atlanta. So go ahead and give him that plug. Because, you know, we supposed to be doing a few events coming up. But I met him. Dallas did a launch party for his clothing line called Rowdy Collection. It's called the Rowdy Collection. And, you know, we did a launch party. It went well. We had fun. We gave out drinks, complimentary. And you really understand that the lifestyle is just about like inspiring others.
Yeah.
I think that I have a good relationship with Dallas because, he obviously inspires me, but I think by me trying to work as hard as I can, it inspires him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, like I've been moving around a little bit more lately myself, but just understanding like how much it takes to actually do this. Like you think everybody want it, but when you get it, you got to realize you got to maintain it and you got to keep trying to like scale and go up. Yeah. But it's a lot of work, like I worked. So we did 10 hours. I think I did here. Shout out to DJ GQ. He was out here, Brandon. He came up here and was great, and he helped out. We all did our part, from strip man to rides, to everybody involved, Kelvin.
Juneteenth was a great turnout.
Atlanta to Cartersville to everywhere you was from was up here, and we did it big, for the city. So shouts out to everybody, but it really take a lot of work, and you got to realize like that, you got to put that work in. But me doing 12 hours a day in the studio voluntarily, like ain't nobody like go in the studio. You ain't even got to go in the studio if you don't want to. Yeah. But I'm sitting in there trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And I think that is what the most like the biggest like attribute I could have is like work ethic. If you're willing to work and you ain't got a problem working and you work without complaining, you will find a situation for yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
What would you say you've taken from working with Dallas? Like, what have you learned and taken from that?
Man, first of all, I learned just how to move. You know what I'm saying? Just because Dallas moved he like Batman. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you won't even know it, but he moved like a real boss. And he always very nice. Dallas is very nice, and he's like, and I mean nice. By what I mean by that is, he is very he has a very big heart, right? And he his gestures and his just incline, his just ability to just be giving as possible and not complain about it. That was really like that's what I go for. You know what I mean? Because I always said to myself even before, like I want to find a mentor that I can learn from. These are goals that I was writing down in Cartersville. I was like, I want to find a mentor to show me how to produce. Facts. And it came manifest. So it's like that's when I realized, okay, this is real. But like you have to. I can't be. How am I gonna complain? How am I gonna be selfish? How am I gonna do anything when I see somebody who made it? It's still the same, working hard. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's really what the biggest thing I learned from him. It's just always, stay your same self. And not only that, but inspire people. Like when you see celebrities taking pictures and stuff like that, they might not want to take that picture, but it might mean a lot to the person who they're taking it for. Yeah. Right. So you gotta be mindful that when you are in a position to be an artist or be on a platform or doing anything like that, you gotta be a good person. And you should be, in my opinion, because first of all, you're inspiring people. People really want to like feel your energy and like get to know you and be a part of it. And I think that's what being a public figure is really about. But you get people that make it and they might not want to deal with all that. They might not have been prepared for what was going to come with it. Like you say you want to be in front of everybody and meet people, then when you have to go do these shows and shake these hands and like be up and like you don't get no sleep,
no rest. Yep.
It's just like, do you still want to do this?
Facts.
You know what I mean?
So what's some of the best advice you got being around all these legends?
Man, I would just say for me, my best advice is to anybody who has a goal to make a plan for yourself. Okay. Like the best thing you can do is actually physically write down your goals, type them up, and actually write them down and actually try to execute them. Or if you don't know something, find somebody who does know it and try to work with the sources that you have. Because like you can do it. I think anybody who puts their minds to anything, they can do it. Shouts out to everybody in the Ville who doing their thing and just really like putting on for the city. I feel like that's what it's really about for me, seeing people like try to make their move. And for me, I got stuff I'm about to start doing that I want to do for the city as well. Like I want to throw parties out here. Everybody always talking about, oh man, it ain't nothing to do. Like that's why I did this.
We're gonna drive to the city just to do something.
Yeah.
So I want to do. I'm gonna do events. I'm gonna do parties for the city. I'm gonna put together stuff. I'm gonna work with people who want to be a part of that. Like we can do stuff for everybody. I want to do birthday parties, and just try to show people something bigger. And I got some stuff I'm working on, but the biggest thing for me is just trying to just continue to do it every day. Wake up and be that same energy is the most important thing I could say. Like really like look within yourself and say, am I going as hard as I can at what I want? Because you might be going hard, but if you ain't going hard focusing on what you want to do, you might go hard in the street, you might go hard over here. But if you ain't going hard for your music career or your path, just as hard as you putting in time to get money or to do anything else, you ain't gonna see no results in it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You just never will. And that's just what people think. People think, oh, I need this amount of money so I can do this. I ain't got which you do, and you gonna have to be responsible. And I think that's the best route to go, to be independent and just do it yourself. But at the same time, you got people out here who already have done it too.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, a lot of people who go to labels independents, they go as partners. And they want to do partnership deals, you know what I'm saying? They want to learn how we can work together. And I think that working together with somebody, though, is something that's going to take you. You can't do it. You don't have access to everything. I ain't going to know everybody. I just ain't, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's important for me to, like, try to see who aligns with what I believe in or what I want to do and how we can work to help each other with common goals.
Right.
So collaboration,
And you do get up and go hard, because we've been planning this interview for how long now? And every time you be like, oh man, I got tied up. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's not trying.
It's not. I know it's not on purpose.
That's that drive. Yeah, you gotta keep, like you said, man. You gotta push, and you gotta push, and you gotta push.
Yeah.
And that's dope, man. That's dope as hell. Especially hearing it from somebody that I know personally.
Yeah, for sure.
That shit came up in the same town.
Yeah, that shit makes it.
I want to add something else. Like, people like. A lot of people might not feel like people don't believe in them, or they don't feel like they got that support, or people ain't really rocking with them. Didn't nobody believe in me? Nobody. I had it hard. Right. Everybody, like, I used to go through a lot with a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And from me, like, being in the streets, being smaller than everybody, to, like, even when I was playing sports, like, I broke both of my ankles my senior year. I wasn't even playing, you know what I'm saying? I was there, but I wasn't even getting no playing time, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, I didn't quit, though.
Yep.
And I think, like, when I had a situation with one of my coaches, and we didn't really get along that well, but at the end of the season, he showed me the respect. Lord rest his soul, he dead now, but he came up to me personally, was like, I admire your work ethic and you going hard, and that was really all I did it for. So I felt accomplished, and then I won't quit. You know what I'm saying? As long as I can get up and go do it, because I know that it pays off to just keep going. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel like ain't nobody rocking with you or whatever like that, man, you just keep going, bro. They'll catch up. They'll figure it out.
They're going to have to.
You know what I'm saying?
They're going to have to.
And if not, then let them sleep. I mean, it's on them.
If not, it's on you.
Yeah, man. So shouts out to everybody, man. Support. Shouts out to y'all, man.
Yeah, man. We'll appreciate it.
Straight to the point.
That's crazy. So I think my last question would be what do you enjoy most about DJing? About your profession? What do you enjoy the most out of it?
Man, honestly, I DJ for people.
Right.
Like, I had I play music for people, so I enjoy finding songs. Like, I'll pick out certain songs. I'll be like, I'm gonna make people go crazy when I drop this one, because they ain't just gonna bring them back.
And you control the crowd.
Yeah, controlling the crowd.
You control the music, you control the crowd.
Control the crowd, getting them interactive. I like to be interactive with the crowd, and I like what I enjoy the most is seeing people enjoy themselves. Like, I'm an entertainer, so when people come out to the clubs that I'm DJing at, and I know they probably had a long week at work, or they just stressed out, which is why they in the club. People go to the club to release stress. They're trying to get a break from all that. So, you want to enjoy yourself, and the joy that people coming to me and say, man, this is the best night I ever had in my life. Like, I have people that have told me, from small venues to doing, like, I did a Super Bowl party. I DJ for Jermaine Dupri and Dallas Austin, not the Super Bowl, excuse me, a Christmas party.
Right.
I did a Christmas party for Jermaine Dupri and Dallas Austin. That's this past Christmas, and it was at a huge club. If y'all know where Opera Nightclub is, they changed the name to something else because it was a situation. But we did that party there, and it was probably like 2,500 people in there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going crazy. We had performances by his artist Johnny Apollo, and Deuce Mino, and a lot of the other artists. And shouts out to Rowdy, my Rowdy family. Shouts out to Dallas, Rowdy Wellness. Shouts out to Sight. Everybody, Shouts out to the Tribe. Shouts out to Max. Shouts out to the Ville. Shouts out to K-Town. You know, I don't want anybody to be like, shout me out. Shout out to my mom and my dad, you know, my sisters, brothers. Nah, but, you know, I enjoy giving people that experience, and I have a passion for doing that. So, you know, I was just talking to y'all about this, but it's like, when you see people do stuff like, okay, a rapper might get famous for rapping like, now, when you watch people who come after that do the same flow, it just makes you be like, I don't know. I just look at stuff like that. I mean, I ain't trying to, like, you could do whatever you want to do. I am not going to care because I got my own life to deal with. But I feel like you got to find something that really speaks to who you are. And, you know, I feel like when you live in your true purpose, it don't matter what somebody else doing. You know what I mean? And my biggest thing is trying to make sure that people know that it's okay to be yourself. And even if it takes you longer to find out what you want to do, finding it is the biggest thing. Because I spent a lot of time not knowing necessarily what I was doing with like within the music, you know, because it was like I was doing production, I was doing this and that, but I still do that. But finding out like DJing, like for me was finding out the ability to like DJ and like do like live performances was a lot for me, and it meant a lot for me. So that's why I wanted to do it. But I think just like just stay in your lane. You know what I'm saying? Like stay true. Respect people who came before you. Respect people who did stuff before you. Like people don't probably want to know half of this about me, but
you know,
I
didn't.
Yeah, and that's
and
just,
we see you like
we see all
the time.
Yeah,
but I don't do that because
like you humble with it.
I understand that it ain't. I'm not here for that, you know. And I see a lot of people do things for the wrong reasons, and to them it might be that point in their life. I ain't gonna judge you. I just feel like just find a way to like be true to yourself, because people need you in the world. We need everybody to be themselves. You know what I'm saying? So that way we could try to kind of do more, and it's okay to be different. You know what I mean? It's okay to not be what people consider the norm. You know.
Do you have a favorite artist that you've worked with since being out here, or someone that just brought that energy out of you and you had a really great time?
I ain't gonna lie, like probably one of my, I got a lot of artists like that, but one of my, what comes to the front of my mind when you ask me that is, I did a studio session with Dallas, and Slick, I did a studio session with Dallas and CeeLo Green.
It had to be dope.
So I was recording and basically tracking the session, so I got to actually track CeeLo, which is like, I'm more of a recording engineer. You got different types of engineers, post-production, pre-production. I like to record, and then I like to go through the mixing process with other engineers. But as far as getting the right takes and like making sure we got the right like takes and notes and stuff like that, that's what I was doing, more of the production side. So, and just seeing CeeLo come in, like Dallas is running the session. You know, he's like, yo, this is what I need. This is what I need. And CeeLo like, whatever you need, big dog. He didn't care if it took 10 takes, 20 takes. However he wanted it. And that's the thing with artists. Like, as a producer, watching how production really works. To go into the studio and people have their own interpretation of what it should be for them, which is fair. But it's like, I don't get to produce a lot of artists, because when you're working with artists, it's like, I could be like, yo, I think we should try this or whatever, and like they respect it, but they don't understand it. So it's like I never really like have like got to the point where I could like do what I really want to do, which is what I'm working on now. So I'm working on a project with a collaboration with a lot of artists, and I'm also working on some music myself that I'm gonna come out with. Which a lot of people probably don't even know I do music, but I do music, and I ain't dropping nothing for a reason, because at one time. So it's like, I let people do their thing. I respect everybody. Shouts out to all the groups from the Ville, doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we come from where it's harder to like get that exposure and to do anything, and we got to support one another. So, you know, I think that coming into it, man, you're gonna see a lot. You know, I'm trying to put my hands in a lot of different pots, and I like to DJ, produce, and I like to make music too. So I'm gonna do it all. I don't think you got to be limited. I think people say, oh, you a DJ, you can't do this, or you a producer, you can't do this, or you an artist, you don't know nothing. But that's like a mental block. And I watched Master P go to the NBA, be an executive at a label. You know what I'm saying? Do like he did everything.
Clothing
he got
brands,
food now. He got noodles. So it's like we can't limit ourselves. We can't let each other. We can't tell each other you can't. We can't tell each other you can't. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
We lived in Marietta, and he played ball at Life College. And remember, he came home with the autograph. You know.
And it's a lot of people, that came before us that showed you that it's possible. And I don't think people really understand that it's really possible. Right, they don't understand this is the same world that Michael Jordan lived on. This is the same planet. So you have the same, you can do whatever you put your mind to. And that's really why I wanted to do this interview, to try to shed some light.
Yeah.
That's facts, man.
I asked all my questions. That was
I did too. I did too. And you shed light on a lot of stuff I already had questions I was going to ask anyway. So that's dope, man.
Well, thank y'all, man. And,
I'm glad you came out. I'm glad we finally got you in here.
Yeah, here, man. Shouts out.
I hope people take this information and really process it. Really let it sink in, because this shit is real.
Yeah, for real.
We haven't interviewed with Plu yet, but I told Pancho, I said, as of now, out of y'all's group, you're the most responsible. And like his head, like he hit us up like, hey, we still on? Like, I'm gonna be there.
Well, Pancho,
he's like,
he has that, he really wants it. You know what I mean? Shouts out to Pancho, shouts out to Plu, shouts out to Keith, shouts out to everybody heard, everybody trying, everybody in the tribe, y'all youngsters, y'all keep doing y'all thing, bro. If y'all need me, I'm here. But he has that, that's what you need. You know what I mean? Like as an artist, like people don't realize it's not just like whenever you want to. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that you will get treated as serious as you treat yourself. Yeah. And that's why even when I couldn't make it, I'm trying to be like, yo, because I know the relationship is the most important. Your perspective of me is important. How you consider me. Right. And that's what people got to consider. Like, it ain't always about how you feel. It's about how other people are gonna view you as well. Because getting into the public eye and watching people, like watching that world, it's real. You know, you want to definitely show people that it matters to you. Their time matters and stuff like that. So shouts out to that. That's what we do.
I be on them though.
Yeah, we gotta get Plu up here though.
He was coming, and then I think something happened. He had to go to, what is it, Miami or LA or something like that. And then he was like, you know what? I got a project coming out, and I want y'all to be a part of that. And it's been a time thing. Yeah. But we gonna get in there.
Definitely.
So you already shouted out who you wanted to shout out during the beginning of towards the end of the interview. You got anything else? Anybody else you want to shout out? Social media.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you are interested in any of my services, you can reach me at Instagram, 1 Castronovaa, the number 1 CASTRONOVAA. 1 Castronovaa, that's my IG. Pretty much the best way to reach me. My email is djcastronova@gmail.com. That's in my bio. I'm gonna put that in my bio on Instagram. But and I got people you can get in contact with if you want to work with me. We'll put it in the description, hopefully, or something like that. And then I'm here to help and support. You know what I mean? So I make beats, produce. I also DJ. I'm a songwriter for artists who looking to try to do something with their sound. If they just sing, they don't really write. And I'm always looking for talent. I'm always keeping my ear to the street. Yep. And I want to shout out all the hustlers, man. If you wake up and you hustle every day, man, shouts out to all the hustlers, entrepreneurs, people that's going out here, and shouts out to us as a collective, and sticking together as a people through all that we've been going through, you know, and coming together. We did a great peaceful protest out here in the Ville. Yes. And we continue to showcase our ability to put a good, positive image out for our people. So I think that, that shows who we are, and it shows the community that we have. And that's what the most important thing is to me, is to understand that I am who I am when I'm around these different people, because I came from here. And this is what is instilled in me. We got a great school system out here. We got great opportunity for people to be whoever they want to be. So I got to give it up for the city, though.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, until next time, y'all have just tuned into another Straight to the Point podcast. We are out of here.